Welcome in, everybody. It is October 25th, 2025. Sorry about this, just grabbing my charger. It is the BodySlamNet post show for NXT Halloween Havoc, the second to last PLE for NXT here in 2025. So I'm just going to finish promoting the show on socials and we'll be all set to go. But welcome in, everyone, to BodySlamNet socials here. My name is Max Dinenberg. I'll be with you now talking all things NXT Halloween Havoc. 6-card show. I think it was a solid show. I think NXT isn't getting those show of the year type PLEs anymore. But I thought there were some notable moments, obviously, on the show. We had multiple title changes on the show. We had 3 to be exact, with the NXT North American, NXT Women's, and the men's tag team titles changing hands tonight. And I just want to also thank Corey Hayes, promoting the show. I really appreciate Corey for doing that. But I want to thank everyone so far who is joining me. We're going to go through everything match by match. We're also going to break down the in particular segments as well on the show that set up events for Tuesday. And again, this is my first time doing the NXT PLE post show. So again, stay with me here for the next probably 45 to an hour here, breaking all things NXT. So again, I'm Max Dinenberg. Thanks for joining me on this Body Slam post show. If you're watching us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, it would mean a lot if you guys hit that thumbs up button. Really helps support the channel. If you're watching us on Twitter right now, please hit that repost and share this video. If you and your friends watched NXT, please consider sharing this and liking our video on X as well. If you're anywhere watching BodySlamNet's post show for NXT Halloween Havoc, please comment away. I will bring comments up like this. Share the comment and we'll talk about what you want to talk about on this podcast here tonight. So if you have any thoughts on the show, what you think of the matches were, your favorite, least favorite matches, I would love to talk with you guys as much as possible. So it's not just me. Again, of course, if you guys want it just to be me talking to the camera for 45 minutes, that's all good. I'm also here to also have a fun conversation with you guys. So please comment away on any social media platform that you're watching me right now. And again, please subscribe to Body Slam's Patreon. Corey Hayes has been breaking so much big pro wrestling news over the last months in a row here. Recently, he broke the news that Ilya Dragunov was backstage at SmackDown last week and was going to be a part of a pretty big match. That obviously happened. He broke down all of the releases that WWE, NXT, and WWE ID made 2 weeks ago. That comes from patreon.com/BodySlamPWN. So please subscribe to our Patreon. It really will help everyone here at BodySlam get paid on a full-time basis. We really appreciate you guys subscribing to BodySlam's Patreon. And I see Bert as well reposting it. I really appreciate everyone supporting me. I did this last weekend. I did a by myself review for Wrestle Dream, but I didn't start that stream until like 12:30, 12:40 in the morning. And I wasn't done until nearly 2 in the morning. So I'm happy to be with you, not even at 10 o'clock Eastern, talking about NXT Halloween Havoc. So let's get into this show. 6-match card. Corey saying can't pop in, but want to say you're appreciated. I really appreciate you, Corey, for always supporting me. You're one of the main people who really does support me on Body Slam a lot, and I really appreciate it. Again, sorry you can't come in, but I'm happy that you're supporting me as always. So let's get into NXT Halloween Havoc. The show started with a tag match between basically 3 companies were involved in this opening tag match. You had Javon Evans from NXT teaming up with TNA's X Division champion Leon Slater. They defeated La Parka and Mr. Iguana from AAA. This was a match I was very excited for going in. I'm not sure this is definitely not my favorite match on the show. I thought it was solid. There were definitely some miscommunications in the match. Really it seemed between Javon and Mr. Iguana had like 2 pretty big, not big, but miscommunications, let's just say, in this match. I was not a fan, still not a fan of the direction we're going with Javon and Leon, who had that amazing match at Bound for Glory for the X Division Championship, got the extra time, and then Dark State made it a no contest. And then still, instead of running this match back, we're basically getting Javon and Leon as a tag team. It looks like, not just for this show, but after this show. We'll talk about when they had their backstage segment later on in the night. But I thought this match was really high flying. I think it really does show how good Leon Slater is. Leon Slater and Javon Evans are 20, 21 years old, and everyone says these guys are the future of NXT. But I think we're at this point where I say this about WWE's main roster with Braun Breaker. I say it about AEW with Kyle Fletcher, and I say about it with NXT with Javon Evans, and TNA with Leon Slater. These guys got to be stopped being talked about like they're the future of these companies. And sometimes you need to book these guys as the present, because so many of the top wrestling promotions now rely so much heavily on late 30s and then 40-year-olds being the top guys. I know this is NXT and this is developmental, and you have guys like Ricky Saints, experienced people like that on this show. But I think it's always good to have your young guys also be at the top of the card. So I'm nervous about the direction they're going with Javon and Leon. But again, we shall see. But I thought this match was solid. Leon Slater hit the Swanton 450 for the finish. Before the finish, there was supposed to be a mid-air cutter that Javon hit, where Iguana's jumping from the top rope, and Javon's coming from the rope next to him to kind of counter it in a mid-air cutter. But they both landed like nowhere near each other. And then Iguana then got up, tried it again, and this time Leon hit the cutter. It was a very weird botch in the match where, this match had its moments of momentum and then spurts of a couple miscommunications between the guys. But I still thought the energy was high. Mr. Iguana is heavily over if it's the main roster. I see you, man. You're always supporting our live streams. I really appreciate you, Quadarius, as always, for supporting the channel. But I thought, the miscommunications definitely kind of derailed some of the high-end, high-intensity matches. Wieska, the Dragon, the Iguana, was a lot of fun. Mr. Iguana was using him against Leon and Javon. There's a funny moment where Leon was like acting like he got bit by the Iguana, which was funny. The spot of the match was Javon lacing in a massive super kick on Mr. Iguana. It was a filthy kick. He hit that, cross corner tope so clean every time. As the finish was Javon taking out, let me make sure I'm saying his name right to make sure I'm not messing things up. La Parca on the outside. Javon hit the Swanton 450. That's easily like a top 2 or 3 finisher for me in wrestling. It looks clean and devastating. A lot of top rope moves look cool, but they don't feel like these devastating moves that should knock people out. A lot of these people's top rope moves these days just look cool, and that's supposed to lead to me thinking that will beat an opponent. Leon's top rope move feels like it ends that no one should be kicking out of that move. So again, happy new Leon and Javon. I think this was a good showcase for all 3 companies used in this match. But I thought the miscommunications, especially between Javon and Iguana towards the back half of this match, definitely kind of derailed the fast-paced match that this truly was. But again, I think if you're looking at this from a perspective, Javon is clearly a top guy for TNA until his contract's up, and Javon should be at the top of the card for NXT. So we'll see what happens next. This was followed up by a backstage segment where we had Zarya and Sol Ruca talking about how Zarya, I'll be representing you pretty good in the match later on the night. You had the Colling interrupting, saying, we're going to be, Tatum's going to be the NXT Women's Champion. Zarya being like, is Izzy, are you going to be happy with that? So they basically, these two storylines, funny enough, when they did the backstage segment, are very similar, where you feel like tension is there between Zarya and Sol and Izzy and Tatum. It's very similar storylines. So it's going to be weird if they maybe even break up these groups at like the same time. It was funny. I never thought about these two storylines feeling the exact same until this segment. So very interesting the way they did that. Then we had the NXT North American Championship match in the Day of the Dead match. All ego. Ethan Page defeated Dr. Wagner Jr. from AAA. His Latin American Championship was not on the line. It was just Page's North American title. They had the lights kind of go in that purple-ish color, at least spiced up, because every match basically was named something, but they were all just no DQ matches on the show. Which was, again, all very interesting to me. But at least this gave it a different flair. Let's just say that. It gave it a different flair to it. Ethan Page is one of the most under the radar performers in the world. He's just not seen as people's favorite wrestler. For me in NXT, he might be, I know Leon's a TNA person. I would say Ethan's probably my favorite performer in NXT. He just gets it. He feels like a polished superstar who, again, doesn't really need NXT. And we say that about a lot of people in NXT. Does Ricky Saints, does Blake Monroe, does Ethan Page, they have television experience. But I think what NXT needs at all times is experienced people wrestling non-experienced people, because we have so many people who are green on NXT wrestling each other on TV every week. That might not lead to a lot of success. So you get experienced ring generals in the ring. This match was not about that. Dr. Wagner Jr. and Page are two veterans. I thought they had a very good match. The big part of the match was when Ethan Page basically ripped half the mask off of Dr. Wagner. And usually in pro wrestling, it leads to a finish where someone takes off the mask, the luchador like blocks himself from being seen, and then we get like a roll-up finish. That's like every match in pro wrestling, at least in America. That's how it goes with luchador wrestling. But when Ethan ripped it off, it like unlocked this intensity from Dr. Wagner Jr., which I really liked. With the lighting and with the face paint, and again, with his mouth being covered, it wasn't like you could completely see Dr. Wagner's actual face. So for me, that was fine, all in all. And I thought the way they handled that was very funny. There were a couple of good chair shots in this match. The coast to coast from Dr. Wagner with the trash can was really well done. They gave a perfect angle where you see like the way Page took the move, which I thought was very unique. But Ethan retains with a twisted grin off the top rope through a table. So Ethan Page is still the North American champion. I'm a big fan of that. It's going to be interesting what direction they go in next with his next challenger. He beat Tavion Heights in the feud before this. Who's next up, I guess, for NXT to kind of fit this mid-card, a mid-card, I guess, babyface to be alongside Ethan Page? There were reports earlier but from people that maybe Chelsea Green was talking to people on the main roster when they were doing their thing in NXT that Ethan Page should be on the main roster. Obviously, they did not continue the Ethan Page, Chelsea Green tag team on the main roster. So Ethan Page is still in NXT. He's still the NXT North American champion. It'll be interesting, actually. He just beat Dr. Wagner Jr. Will he get a Latin American championship match? If that's in AAA, if that's in NXT. They also announced on this show that they're doing that, the NXT show inside Madison Square Garden, like the theater inside Madison Square Garden. They're doing 2 big TV events back-to-back weeks on, in mid-November. So I think they're going to want to stack those shows up a lot because the Iron Survivor pay-per-view is the first week of December. So we do have a month basically, like 5-6 weeks until we get the next NXT PLE. And they have 2 obviously really big shows in between that. So we'll see how they handle that. Could be some title changes. We'll see. I do think Ethan Page will be on the main roster in 2026. Is that the beginning? Is that mid? Is that late 2026? I don't know. But I do feel like he's a guy who's kind of done it all in NXT now. He was the NXT champion. Now he's the NXT North American champion. So I'm interested. Do we see Page and Dr. Wagner Jr. for the Latin American championship? Do we see title for title? Booker T kept saying, why was this not a title for title match? I was saying the same thing. I was like, why would Paige just want to defend his title while the other guy's a champion? But that is where your own commentator calling that out. So again, Ethan Page retains the NXT North American Championship. Then we had a backstage segment where Kalani Jordan was watching, I guess, the match, and she runs into Jordynne Grace. Now, again, Kalani Jordan is the TNA Knockouts champion, and Jordynne Grace has kind of been in between things where it's funny. She won the big blood feud with Blake Monroe, but Blake Monroe got put into the mid-card title scene while Jordan has kind of been doing nothing. She was the special guest referee in the showdown match between TNA and NXT, and she's kind of just been doing a lot of nothing. So this backstage segment, she slapped Kalani towards the end of it because on Tuesday, Kalani was kicked out of the NXT locker room by everyone. Jordan was trying to defend her. She's like, "You're the last person I want defending me in my own locker room." Jordan did slap Kalani. And it was announced towards the end of the show that Kalani versus Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts Championship will be on Tuesday. So I'm excited for the match. Feels like Kalani's probably going to retain. We've seen Jordynne Grace with this TNA Knockouts Championship before many times. But again, it feels like Jordynne Grace is always just putting people over at this point. She's someone, again, who has a main roster contract working for NXT. So I think she'll probably once again get another big Royal Rumble spot, and we'll see. We'll go from there. Is Jordynne Grace going to get a big NXT Women's Championship run before she gets called to the main roster, or is she going to be doing these works for the whole year and then go up to the main roster post Royal Rumble? We'll see, but we're getting Grace versus Kalani next on Tuesday. And they also announced that the Gold Rush, the 2-week special at MSG, the theater at MSG, is called Gold Rush. So I assume we're going to get all the championships on the line. They announced TNA and AAA titles will be on the line too. So November 18th and the 25th will be live from the MSG at the theater in MSG on the CW. Let's then moved things on. Look at me trying to rhyme and have a rhythm here. Then we moved on to the NXT North American Women's Championship. Blake Monroe defeats Zarya. Now on Tuesday, Sol Ruca comes out in a leg brace, and Blake Monroe interrupts and just hand me the title. It looked like they were going to have Sol vacate the title, but then they were like, Sol's like, I don't know when I'm going to be back. So they didn't vacate the Speed title, and they didn't vacate the North American title. The thing was Zarya was going to defend the North American title for Sol. That if Zarya retained the title, it wasn't going to be that that Zarya would be the NXT North American champion. It would be that Sol retains as well. So it was for the honor of Sol Ruca. It wasn't like she gave the title to Zarya to defend. It was just defending the honor for Sol. There's been weird, not much reporting on if this Sol Ruca injury is legit or not. She did take a bump during this match, so I assume if it was real, she wouldn't be taking a bump with a leg brace. And if it's not a leg injury, it is frustrating. So many injuries now in pro wrestling, you just have to doubt now, which I think some people like, some people don't. Obviously, the Seth Rollins injury, very real. The one before that, not real. And it's weird that we haven't heard major reports if what the injury is for Sol, if it's a fake, if it's a shoot, if it's a kayfabe reason for doing it. We do not know. So Zarya has this match with Blake Monroe. I thought this was a very solid match. It didn't blow me away or anything. But the finish of the whole build of the match was obviously Blake was going to do something to Sol to cost Zarya the match, or at least distract Zarya. During the match, Zarya took a pretty big spot where she was about to do kind of a spear through the steel steps. Blake moves out of the way, and Zarya is selling like she had a separated shoulder. But then it was funny. I was like, how are they going to, obviously, usually it's just the wrestler themselves, hits themselves against the rope in the corner in the ring. And Sol just shoved Zarya into the corner, into the post. I was like, what just happened? And then they were like, okay, that helped Zarya, I guess, be okay because she came in the ring to hit like 3 suplexes and then the spear. But the finish was like Zarya was chasing Blake out of the ring and accidentally, but obviously Blake tripped over Soul. So like they ran in the ring, Zarya hit I think a spine buster, and then Zarya went out of the ring, checked on Soul. And when that was going on, Blake hit the glamorous DDT outside the ring, rolled her in the ring, hit the glamorous DDT, got the win. So Blake Monroe is the new NXT North American champion. Her first title in WWE since her leave from AEW. I thought this match was solid. You could kind of tell every Zarya match is the same, where Soul is a distraction for Zarya. So I don't like, if Soul's injury is real, right? Why is she taking a bump on the outside? A bump, like she tripped. It wasn't like it wasn't like a crazy bump or anything. If it's a real injury, maybe they have Zarya turn on Soul on Tuesday. Because everyone's like, is Soul turning heel? If that's the case, why would Soul give up? Like, if her injury is not real, right? Why would Soul give up a spot to defend her championship? Like, why would she let Zarya defend her championship? So for me, it feels like at this point, Zarya needs a refresh. I love Zarya. Liked her as Delta as well before she came to WWE. And I think it's time for a refresh where she's not just Soul's best friend, because from a story perspective, it's not helping Zarya at all. They've lost all of their women's tag team championships. Zarya is getting distracted fighting for singles gold. And here, every time Soul gets beat up in the middle of a Zarya match, Zarya is stupidly going outside. Are you okay, Soul? Are you okay, Soul? Then she like runs into a loss. And it's booked to make Zarya, in my opinion, look insanely stupid. Like, it's a championship match. Like, you don't have to run out there and make sure she's fine and lose. Especially because she's done this same finish before. Like, how many times have we seen Zarya's in a match? Soul gets tapped by like Tatum Paxley or something, and he's like, why are you out here? Leads to Zarya losing. Then I think this like just happened. If I'm not mistaken, this was the same finish to, I think, Zarya's match with Blake Monroe as well. For some reason, like 2 weeks ago, I think this was the exact same finish where Soul got beat up and then Zarya's like, oh, are you okay? She goes in the ring and loses. It was just the same finish to every Zarya match with Soul ringside. It's the same exact finish. So I don't know. It was not for me. I think Blake winning is good. I'm hoping if Soul has a real injury, I hope it's not like a long-term thing. I would think if it's real, they might have Zarya turn heel on Tuesday to write Soul off TV. Give Zarya this huge heel run. And because obviously now we have a babyface women's champion, and they kind of hinted at that with a backstage segment between the Culling and Zaruka. So maybe Zarya turns this into like an NXT women's title run. But again, she's not winning matches. Like, Zarya does not win matches. She's lost, I think her last like 3 or 4 matches that I can remember. She stupidly eliminated herself from the Battle Royal on Tuesday to get the shot at the women's title. So again, I want to refresh for Zarya. I think she should be one turning heel, and Soul can keep doing her thing. But again, if she's injured, write her off TV with a Zarya heel turn. We'll see. So that was the NXT North American Women's Championship match. Then we had a backstage segment. Ren Sinclair was talking with Carmen Petrovich and the new WWE Evolve Women's Champion Kendall Gray about their segment on Tuesday, where like Ren was like talking with Lash Legend, and then Kendall Gray, like out of nowhere, there was no like animosity between Ren and Lash, and Kendall Gray's like, you can't talk to my friend like that. And I was like, what? Like, there was no animosity in that conversation. But we're getting an Evolve Women's Championship match on NXT between Kendall and Lash, because basically since Charlie went to Noah, Ren's trying to like do like a women's version of NQCC because Tavion and Miles are out of the group, and it's just Ren and Charlie's in Japan, so Ren's by herself in NXT. I can't imagine Lash is winning this match. Kendall literally just won the title at Succession on Tubi. I guess one of the rare people who watches Evolve every week. Was really happy for Kendall. So Kendall is fighting Lash for the Evolve Championship. I don't think they're done yet with this Jada and Lash thing. So if I had to bet, Jada is going to cost Lash this match, and we'll do another Lash Jada match, maybe at Gold Rush for like a no DQ. If I'm not mistaken, isn't it 1-1 between Jada and Lash? I feel like it's like even. So if it is, Jada is definitely going to cost. Because I don't think Lash is winning the Evolve Championship and wrestling on Evolve or anything. I think they'll do Lash and Jada, and Kendall will get a cool big win over a top NXT superstar. Helps Evolve if Kendall can get to win a match over Lash Legends. So that is happening on Tuesdays. We're getting the TNA Knockouts Championship and the WWE Evolve Women's Championship matches on Evolve. Sorry, not on Evolve, on Tuesday for NXT. Now let's talk about the best match on this show by a mile. This was the only great match on this show, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought everything else was either fine or solid. This, I thought, was excellent. Tatum Paxley defeats JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship. The Culling come out in all white. JC obviously coming out in purple, which I thought was really cool with Fallon and Laney. There was a really good back and forth spot earlier in the match where JC lost Tatum underneath the ring. Tatum shows up, beats up Fallon, then takes it to JC. There was a huge spot, my favorite spot in the match, where JC hits like a swinging neck breaker off the top rope to Tatum. It was filthy. And it led to like all this stuff outside the ring because JC goes for the pin and as it looks like Tatum's done, Spears puts Tatum's foot on the rope. Laney hits a huge crossbody on Nico and Spears. I thought she got great airtime on this crossbody from the top rope to outside the ring. Izzy hit the big kick on Laney, and then Fallon hits that filthy, like where she whips around the corner on the outside and kicks Izzy in the face. It was a really filthy move. So this led to the Culling and Fatal Influence being kicked out of ringside. So that became a one-on-one match. We had a lot of roll-ups, close falls. Thank you, Jeffrey. I see you hit the love button on Facebook. I really appreciate that. Oh, Jeffrey, I see you here as well. Well, thanks for commenting and for hitting that button on Facebook. We really appreciate it here at BodySlamNet. If you have any questions, Jeffrey, as well on the show, definitely let me know down here in the comments or any of your thoughts on NXT Halloween Havoc. But Tatum hits. The finish of the match was after the Culling and Fatal Influence got banned from ringside. Both groups try to run out, and the security and refs are stopping. So the ref in the ring is distracted seeing both factions coming out. But the one person not there was Izzy Dame. And Izzy she gets the title, and it looks like she's going to turn on Tatum and cost Tatum the Women's Championship. But she's not. She cracks JC with the NXT Women's Championship. Tatum hits her finish, and the ref wasn't there. So I was like, is JC just going to kick out? Is the ref distracted? Tatum pins JC. So Tatum is the new NXT Women's Champion. I am a big fan of Tatum Paxley. She's never had a big opportunity like this. I think that she said it was her first PLE match for NXT. I can't imagine it's her first NXT Women's Championship match, but she definitely said on TV on Tuesday it was her first PLE for NXT. And I thought the story was great, where when JC beat Stephanie Vaquer, everyone said she was a throwaway champion, a transitional champion, someone who shouldn't be in that spot. And that was the story for Tatum going into this, which was Tatum's never in this position. She has no shot to win, all of this stuff. I really like that promo on Tuesday where they both said that. I do want to say, before we get to the Tatum stuff, JC's run was really good. And I am the biggest JC Jane fan. I've been a big fan of hers for years. I think she's been main roster ready for over 2 years now. I think at this point, What else is there for JC Jane to do on NXT? She was the NXT Tag Team Champion. She's been in 2 very important factions for NXT. She had a big tag run with Gigi. She's had now this huge singles run. Obviously, Lainey just joined the group, so I'm not sure they want to like break this up. But I am really fascinated what they do with the losers of the Women's Championship match tonight and the NXT Men's Championship. Both people feel like they've kind of done it all in NXT at this point. Does NXT need JC Jane or Trick Williams moving forward? Are those 2 people in particular main roster ready at this point? Who knows? We will find out very soon. But I just want to say, I think a lot of people were not happy when JC Jane beat Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Women's Championship. I was the happiest person. I was so shocked in a great way when that happened. And JC has over-delivered on this run, where she helped, obviously, Team NXT win the Showdown match. She had a really good matches with Jordynne Grace. Her run has been good, really good. So I couldn't be happier for JC Jane. I don't know if this leads to Fatal Influence breaking up, even though Lainey literally just joined the group. How should take over the NXT Dark Side stable? Who? Jeffrey, can you rephrase your question? I'm not particularly sure what you mean by this question. I'm happy to answer all your questions. How should take over the NXT Dark Side stable? Who? I'm just confused, Jeffrey, on what you're trying to say there. So definitely let me know. Type in your question if you're still there. I'm happy to answer all your questions or thoughts or comments on the show. So Tatum wins the championship. Really cool moment. The crowd were on their feet. This match absolutely over-delivered and was easily the best match on this show. There was nothing even close to this match on the entire show. And I don't think if you told people 7 months ago or at the beginning of the 2025 year that Tatum Paxley and JC Jane, their match would be easily the best match on NXT PLE. I think a lot of people would be shocked if you got told that. And guess what? Here we are. It's October, and Tatum and JC had the match of the night on an NXT PLE. So all credit to both wrestlers. Excited to see what Tatum does as the NXT Women's Champion. And we'll see if that's it for Fatal Influence or if that's it for any of these people on NXT. Then it was announced that NXT Deadline, the next PLE for NXT on Peacock, will be taking place December 6th in San Antonio, Texas. So kind of a homecoming, I guess, for Booker T. Even though I think he's more of a Houston, Texas guy, but still Texas is Texas at this point for Booker T and for pro wrestling. So that is December 6th. It's 7 o'clock again, which I am a big fan of. So that will happen December 6th. That'll be the last PLE of the year for NXT. Then we have the NXT Men's Tag Team Championship match. The Hardys defending against Dark State, and their match at Showdown was bad. It was really bad, and I was happy the Hardys won because I am someone who is not a fan of Dark State. I think a lot of those wrestlers are green, and I think their story that they can attack from anywhere and they're this threatening faction has not worked, because every time the gimmick for them is they come out to the ring. It's actually a really smart gimmick. You come to the ring and you don't know which 2 members of the group are wrestling. But the problem is every single time Dark State's in a match, it's the same 2 people of the 4 who wrestle. It's always Dion and Osiris. And I think the most interesting character and wrestler is Saquon Sugars, who is never in matches. And he's the most interesting promo when they do their backstage promos. And he's, I think, the most interesting in-ring performer as well for them. But we get Dark State. The Hardys are broken. So we get the Woken theme from like 6-7 years ago, I guess, for Matt Hardy. Jeff Hardy's wearing the Fiend face paint, which I thought was really nice. Now, obviously, with this being no DQ, this match was obviously a lot better than their match at Showdown. I still wasn't the biggest fan of this match because this really should have been just like a 4-on-2 handicap. It was no DQ. And there's so many points where Cutler James and Saquon were just chilling on the outside watching the match. I was like, you guys know it's no DQ. Now I appreciate it. Cassidy liking it on, hearting it on Facebook and liking it on Facebook. Thank you so much, Cass. I see you liking and hearting this on Facebook. Really, really appreciate it. I don't think you've ever seen me like this either, Cass, with this haircut. I do really appreciate it. But we had a crazy spot in this match early on where Jeff Hardy was trying to flip the big Osiris from out of the ring through a table, and his leg clipped the table, but his body completely missed the table. I was like, holy crap, that did not look great. Jeff audibled, and outside the ring, he just hit a suplex on Osiris through the table. I was like, okay, that's fine. We got the vintage Hardy moment where Jeff hit the swanton off the top of the ladder through a table. Matt hit the leg drop through the table. Hardys, let's see how old the Hardys are while we're on this. Matt Hardy is, let's see. Let's go to Wikipedia for this because I am lazy. Matt Hardy is 51 years old. Still doing it at a very high level, so all credit. I love the Hardys. Jeff Hardy is 48 years old. Still hitting these top rope ladder swanton bombs at this age. They've been wrestling for 25, 30 years. Unbelievable. But the big spot in the match that I thought absolutely killed Jeff Hardy was went for another swanton bomb off the very top of the ladder through two tables. Osiris moves, and Jeff takes a swanton off the top of the ladder. Roman Reigns should be the leader of Dark State. That would be cool, maybe. Dark State is not Dark State Jeffrey is not ready for the main roster. Those guys still need a lot of work in the ring and promo stuff. There's such a work in progress. It's not like Roman Reigns or someone of that caliber just becomes the leader of the group and all of a sudden those guys know how to do promos and wrestle at a high level. But to go back to my earlier point, Jeff, I thought he died on that spot. Like, he fell so hard. I was like, Jesus Christ. The match is finished with a really cool finish where Darkseid hits the Doomsday device through a table. Osiris has Jeff Hardy on top, who already just died from doing the Swanton Bomb. Dion gets on that ladder and jumps from out of the ring to in the ring to hit the Doomsday device. Cool finish. Dark State win back the NXT tag title. So it looks like they just wanted the Hardys to win the titles to put them on an NXT PLE. So Dark State are now two-time tag team champions. This tag division, for me, is in shambles at the moment, really since Fraxium left. Hank and Tank just left to go to Noah, so don't know how long they're going to be in Japan for, but they're going to be in Japan for a bit at least. OTM just came back, so they're back. The tag division is in a bit of shambles, so we'll see who the next big babyface tag team is for NXT. We've had Chase U, for example. But it's going to be interesting to see. But Dark State, I need to see them become interesting. Promo-wise, character-wise, and in the ring. I thought the finish from Doomsday, that was the best in-ring sequence I've seen from Dark State. But overall, yeah, it could have been better. Backstage, Leon Slater and Javon Evans. They finally remember that Dark State cost them the match at Bound for Glory. I was like, why are we writing the two probably best in-ring performers on this show to be dumb and stupid? Just why are we doing that? But this leads to Javon and Leon be like, we're cool. We're a good tag team, right? Let's go after Dark State. So I think we're going to get Javon and Leon versus Dark State for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Probably at Gold Rush or Roadblock. I think, to be fair, if they do Javon and Leon again, it should be on a TNA show because that exhibition title match was so damn good, and then it became a no contest. But it looks like we're gonna finally get back to this feud between Dark State, Javon Evans, Leon Slater. So looks like we're gonna get that feud. That's where the tag division is gonna be post this show. Then we got the main event. Home stretch, guys, 40 minutes. And I'm not going to go probably an hour. It's only 6 matches. This is not AEW where I'm going to be talking about 15 matches. Ricky Saints defeated Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. They announced this was Trick's 12th NXT Championship match. He's obviously a 2-time NXT champion. 6 of those were him as champion. Ricky Saints, made guy. He feels like a main guy, main roster superstar. He feels like the guy. Trick Williams has been in this title picture all year long. If it was against Oba, then he was a TNA champion, still wanting to be involved in the Ricky Saints Oba stuff. Then he gets his shot at Ricky Saints after losing the TNA championship. The whole match was about Trick wanting to put Ricky through a table. He just hit like a rock bottom through the table. It was good. It was like a great spot. Ricky and Trick, after hitting that bookend, Trick hit the bookend through the table. Trick gets in the ring, hits Trick shot, Ricky kicks out. And then later, Ricky hits in my opinion, the biggest spear I've ever seen Ricky Saints hit, ever. And then he hits the Tornado DDT to get the win. I thought the match was fine. It was a match. Like, I thought it was fine. It wasn't great. I think Trick is another guy who's like, what else can he possibly do in NXT? He's been in it for such a long time. He went from being kind of a manager for Carmelo Hayes to then be, what happened to Alicia Fox in TNA? She's still in TNA. She is a former Divas champion. That is sadly correct. But yes, she is, I'm just joking, Alicia, if you're watching, but yeah, she's still in TNA. She was on NXT like 2 weeks ago, I think, representing TNA. So I think she's still there. I think Ricky's a good champion. I actually thought Oba was going to come out at the end of the show for a final face-off because we've not seen Oba since losing the title to Ricky. And they keep mentioning, where is Oba Femi? Where is he? And when the show didn't cut to like credits when Ricky was celebrating, I was like, okay, so Ricky's just going to be, another face-off with Oba. That didn't happen. The show ended on it was such a weird anticlimactic end to the show where Tatum Paxley is celebrating with the culling and they're all like, oh my God, what a job you did, Tatum. Thank you so much. Oh my God, so cool. And then she ends the show by saying, if you thought this was crazy, Tuesday's going to be even crazier. And that was how the show ended. Very anticlimactic. But yeah, Ricky and Trick, I didn't think was that great. It was fine. It was a match, as I said. I thought the Zaria Blake match, and I thought that was the second best match. I don't want to rank the matches, but I thought nothing came close to Tatum and JC on this show. So Ricky wins. No Oba. Who's next? Will it just be Oba? Or are we set for like a bunch of NXT call-ups? Because Oba, another guy, has done it all in NXT. Trick has done it all in NXT. JC has done it all in NXT. Jordan Grace, if she loses, is she done in NXT? Interesting situation. Obviously, people are like, why can't all these experienced people be on the main roster? NXT is on the CW, a channel that everyone has. They get big viewership. They're trying to become, as Shawn Michaels said in an interview, a profitable company. That NXT was not profitable for a long time. So I don't think they're going to send everyone up. NXT still and always needs stars on the show for viewership and experienced people for these non-experienced wrestlers. But I thought the show was solid. I do miss the days where NXT PLEs or takeovers always were some of the best shows you'll see in pro wrestling all year long. And even like usually, even like not even Black and Gold, like post Black and Gold, there were some NXT shows with Shawn Michaels running the show that you're like, wow, that was a fantastic show. Even when the TV isn't that great, you're like, all right, at least you get the PLEs. You're going to get some banger matches. The last couple have had like one, maybe two, like absolute slappers. The other ones have had like fine, like just matches on the show. So it's weird when I'm like never, like I usually used to be for years, just so pumped and passionate about NXT pay-per-views. And now, and after this show, it's kind of like, that was fine. That was a good show. Wasn't great. It was a show. That's what I'll say. there were definitely moments because we had a new NXT North America Women's Champion with Blake, new NXT Tag Champion with Dark State, a new Women's Champion with Tatum. So like stuff happened on the show. It was a newsworthy show. I just thought out of all the matches, we had one amazing match, and then the rest were fine or good. There wasn't anything that much great on this show. So that's my thoughts, guys, on NXT. Is the calling group ready for the main roster? Tatum's been in NXT for a long time, but I think that group's going to stay in NXT. Izzy, I think, should stay in NXT for a bit. She's someone who I think is a work in progress, but she's proven that she's very capable in the ring. And I think we're going to eventually get to Izzy versus Tatum. I don't think they should do this like as Tatum's first feud out of the gates. I think should, let this simmer a bit, or maybe they just won't. Maybe those have Izzy turn on Tatum on Tuesday. Because Tatum's like, it's going to be even crazier. Like, is Lyra going to come out? Like, what's going to happen on Tuesday, I guess? They're not that group, I don't think, is going to be all together on the main roster. I do not think. Nico, very much a work in progress in the ring as well. So we shall see. But that's my thoughts, guys, on NXT Halloween Havoc. I'll be back next Saturday with my good friend Rami. We'll be doing a full post show for Saturday night's main event. So probably 10 o'clock next week. We'll break down Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, CM Punk versus Jey Uso, Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill, whatever else is on Saturday night's main event. Also, in November, I'll be back on post shows for Survivor Series, War Games, and Full Gear. Last week, I did a full review for Wrestle Dream. And for Body Slam, guys, please follow us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, because 5 days a week, basically, I post highs and lows for Raw, NXT, SmackDown, Collision, Dynamite on socials, 1 minute video basically recapping the shows, plus what I do for the post shows. And also, please subscribe to Body Slam's Patreon so you have the best pro wrestling breaking news in the world. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have basically live shows, reviews every single week, every single day. I have a podcast with my good friend Blackhawk every single Friday from 7 to 8 o'clock Eastern called Tour of Japan, where we break down Japanese pro wrestling like New Japan, Stardom, Marigold, and Noah. So if you like Japanese wrestling, that's a great podcast for you. I'll be back, as always, every week here on Body Slam YouTube channel. Thanks so much for this review. That has been NXT Halloween Havoc review on BodySlam.
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you!
Oh,
thank you!